Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the ROI Society podcast. I've got Gio here with me today, our lead, and myself, the owner of ROI Society. And today's topic, we're going to talk about criminal defense marketing strategies.
Hi everyone. Hi Jay. How's it going? How's been the week?
Good, good, man. Glad to have you on again.
Awesome. Yeah. So hopefully we're able to share a lot of great info regarding criminal lawyers, and let's hit it off on your end. What topics you want to cover this week?
I'm really excited to talk about this one because for criminal defense lawyers specifically, we've had probably the most success getting results for our clients right now. And we're really excited to share some of our strategies. This can be depending on your market too, and how much crime there is can really determine how easy it is to get results in cases. But keep that in mind. But generally speaking, this can be done step by step, little by little, whether you're working with an agency or you're trying to do these things in-house or on your own. You can follow this, and each step grows in complexity, but starts very simple. So if budget is not, so we have two ways of looking at these three phases for this marketing strategy. If budget and effort are a concern, or this is new to you, or you just want to play it safe, then the three phases one by one is definitely the way to go about it. If efforts and resources and finances are not an issue, then we actually recommend doing all three phases at once, because at the end we're going to talk about search engine optimization in phase 3. And it's actually more beneficial if you can handle it and you have the finances to invest in it, to start this right away, because we typically see our best results within 4 to 6 months. And it's great to just get that clock going soon, but there's definitely no pressure. The way we have the phase 1, 2, 3 plan that we're going to talk about set up is that each phase, so for example, phase 1 will help you gain capital in an easy way, generate money, generate cases, and then be able to reinvest into phase 2, get phase 2 going and those services, and then just so on and so forth onto phase 3. So regardless of your situation, these services determine whatever order is best for you based on your situation.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I think the most important thing, I think, when it comes to marketing is actually looking at a long-term investment of the business, because sometimes I think we can get overwhelmed with all these big acronyms in the digital world, like SEO, CRM, PPC, all these type of strategies. And a lot of times you hear that they're like a kind of a silver bullet, right? But I think it all depends on the actual stage of your business, because sometimes like you mentioned, you're starting off, and depending on where you at in budget, you can start off simple or really complex, and it requires a real dedicated team to this, right? As things get more complex, and you need to actually have people that have experience building these type of strategies, not just watch a YouTube video and follow step by step, right? Because then it becomes, the learning curve becomes painful, because you're putting in that money up front, right? Ads are not guaranteed, so if you put in your $1,000-$2,000 into ads and you don't know how to actually manage them, could be into paying for that learning curve, right? So like, I think the way you break down the strategy, the 3-step strategy, it's really the way to go. I like the way that you have set it up, and I think it would be beneficial if you share a little bit more about how you came about this strategy and how it works.
Yeah, for sure. The three phases. So we start in phase 1. We recommend the easiest services to get results from. It's doable to do this in-house or DIY or with an agency if you want it done for you. Whether you're just starting out or you've been established for a long time, we really believe phase 1, local services ads, is the most low-hanging fruit, and especially for criminal defense lawyers. It's a cost per qualified call, whereas a lot of other services, there's so much out there. Like you said, there's all these terms, there's all these services. Sometimes people have favorites, or they think social media is the way to go, or Google ads is the way to go, or someone they trust told them this worked for them. Like, really, this, for criminal defense lawyers, start with local services ads. start with a Google My Business profile if you don't have one already. The two work together. So any call for a service that you're not advertising for on local services ads, you can request a refund from Google. And hopefully your agency is commission based too, and you can request a refund from them too. So the calls that we see that are besides the refunded ones, the ones that they're paying for, we're seeing 80 to 90%, sometimes even some months even 100% are a client willing to pay, ready to pay to work with them in a case that the lawyer has checked the box on in local services ads, and the intake specialist is saying, yes, we can help you with that. Come to our appointment, and the process goes on. That's an insanely high quality ratio. The way we're able to do this with local services ads is Google specifically only finds they have the historical data on what not only gets very high quantity of conversions or calls or leads, but a very good quality too. So that's how they're able to do this kind of commission style service. So that we're seeing clients right now getting just on 1,000 a month, they're getting potentially 8 to 10 clients. Yeah, around that. I'll say 8 in the markets that we're helping them with. And their budget, I don't know, they could probably keep it going higher and higher and still get a lot of value, especially markets where there's a lot of clients. Bigger cities, bigger populations can really, as you know, with marketing, the more you spend, the worse your margins get. I think that point of saturation in bigger markets with local services ads will you can spend a good amount and scale without having to suffer any issues with your profit margin. So this can use your website, but it's not required. So it takes that whole complexity of having to make sure your website is doing 50 different things right. It just gets your foundation of lead generation started. And maybe if you're doing this with an agency, it's a really safe way to build trust. And then you just have so much leverage with finances and get your lines of communications working with everyone and on this thing going. Then you can move on to the next thing, phase 2, where you're starting to expand to more ad platforms. But is there before I move on, is there anything you'd like to add, Gio, on phase 1? Any questions with that or comments?
Yeah, I think one thing is, maybe this is something technical, right? It's that it's Google verified. So it gives you that check mark that Google verifies your business as a legit business, if I'm not mistaken, correct? When you do LSA?
Yes. So the other benefits, I want to thank you. You're encouraging me to be more visual here. You get a Google verified check once you complete your background check. So that builds trust in the user. But probably the best part of this is you are on the very, very top of Google. So nowadays it's by the time a year from now, this is probably going to change, but it's at the very top, it's local services ads, and then traditional ads, and then it might be the organic listings or maps mixed in down below that. On the very top is local services ads above regular ads now. So if you have the chance to, or if you're doing regular ads or you're not doing LSA, your profit is going to be 4 times as high by getting on LSA and getting above even your own ads there.
Okay. Now, I think one question, even myself, I would have, if local services ads is really profitable, why would I go to a phase 2 if there's already enough sales on that part? I'm getting good enough leads. What do you think it's good to go into phase 2 of expanding this strategy?
So like with any ads, but especially with local services ads, our injury lawyer client is a great example. They hit a point of saturation where when they started, they were able to spend a couple $1,000s and get maybe 10 to 15 cases. But over time, they couldn't spend any more. Even there's a max bid limit too, and a bid is just telling Google, "Hey, I want to pay this much for a call." We were bidding $1,000, the maximum, and all the other competitors, I'm sure they were bidding the same amount. Wasn't actually charging that much. It was only like 200 or 300. anyways, you're telling Google saying, hey, we're willing to pay the maximum, but it's still because there are so many competitors and only so many people searching. And keep in mind too, like I said earlier, the reason these work so well is because they're using historically the best quality, highest conversion rate keywords. They're not using every single keyword that brings in some, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad kind of keywords in. It's very select. So once those keyword searches for the day are done, other competitors are taking a piece of the pie. There's only so much you can spend. And that goes for any ad platform, but especially LSA. So you can probably, at that point, once you're saturated and you're hungry for more, then going on to phase two is the way to go. Or if you're trying to really target in on a specific service or type of case, we have one client trying to get expungement even more. So we are doing traditional Google ads and just targeting those keywords and additional broader things to get more of a specific case that he's looking for. So those are some scenarios, just like pretty much hitting your capacity, to put it shortly.
Yeah, and I think you share a great point that it doesn't cover all the keywords, right? So there's still a lot more keywords that you have billions of searches per day. So there's still a lot of keywords to go, and as well, you're not the only one bidding, right? So you're sharing with other people this work. So I get your point right there. And so tell me more about this second phase. How do we transition into local services ads? What's the process of moving on into phase two?
So the process of phase two, well, let me start with expectations. Let's say you're in that scenario, you've capped out on local services ads. You're in a market that can spend maybe $3 or $4 grand and you're getting maybe 20, 30 cases, 40 cases. It depends. It really depends on the competition and how much they're paying, but it's within those ranges is realistic. But let's say you want more, you've just hired new lawyers, you need to get them cases. Now it's time to start looking into other things, but you have to do it with the expectation. And this goes for with anything in pretty much any business. The larger you get, the smaller your profit margin is going to be. And that's no exception for these other ad platforms. So Google, with Google ads, like traditional search ads, social media ads. And I think this is the point, if you don't have this already, to really establish a CRM and a lead system for these ads to live in, to manage your intake process. And I can get into that a little bit after the ads and what to expect. So pretty much what you're going to do is have your employee or your marketing agency, all the types of cases that you've been trying to rank for or show up for on local services ads. Just say, hey, let's do this with Google ads now, and make an ad group for each type of case, whether it be murder or theft or just general defense attorneys. Each one of these is going to be an ad group on Google on search, and set that up. And then on social media, it's great for brand awareness, but in terms of generating leads, you're going to just do retargeting. So retargeting is anyone who comes from Google or any source, referrals, anyone who's been on your website at all. The social media ads will send ads specifically to those people. And that's actually very high profit margin. That's going to be about 10% of the overall new budget that's going in, while you have 90% capturing the in-market traffic from Google ads. So yeah, at the top of your funnel, you're bringing in traffic from Google, in-market traffic, people who are looking for a lawyer for X crime, like those examples. And then retargeting with social media, and all the leads, whether they call, whether they are filling out a form, everything gets centralized into a CRM database. And before I get into the CRM, any questions on these new types of ads?
No. Do you need a website? Like when you start like these type of ads, do you consider it's time that we actually have, or necessary that we have a landing, pages or websites? What's your thought?
Yeah, so I totally forgot to mention where these ads are sending people. So yes, now you're actually dealing with sending people to your website if you don't have one already. I'm sure most of you probably do, but now it's time, as you're looking at these ads, to get your website where it needs to be. And I'll let you speak to, some of the things that people need to do for their website to get ready for the ads and everything else.
Yeah, so it depends on mainly your budget, right? There's two types, right? And when you have budget, I recommend that you actually have set up a website with all your pages, your homepage, your about page, services, contact, like all your information that are relevant about your business. But keep in mind that these pages are more for customers that are going to be searching around about your business, all these type of things, right? So um that's for the customer to know more about your business. But it's not required if your budget is lower, because most of the ads, and correct me if I'm wrong, is whenever you run ads, you want to really focus it on sales and not put in too much information, right? So you create landing pages. These landing pages have to have a clear to action, a clear button, or like a button so that can take an action, have a click to call, right? Maybe have a direct chat widget, these functions. And it has to be with not too many animations, not too many things that are going on, so that the client knows what actions to take, right? Because we live in this new era of where the web pages, you see Apple, right? It has flashy animations like opening up the screen. But Apple is Apple. They know a customer that goes to Apple, they already know what they're going to buy. They just want to really have that experience of the product, right? But when it's your services, you're a lawyer. I think the best way is to have clear call to action, CTAs. So have your button so that way they can set up the leads. Have a button so they can have a direct call. Have a button so they can do a direct chat. Give them options, right? Because every one of the clients prefers different ways of communication. Not all clients like forms because they don't like to give out all their information. There's older clients, I believe, in my experiences, that older clients prefer, to give a direct call, get someone on the line directly, or millennial just on the chat, talk to somebody and get some more information before they share all their info. But yeah, I think it's really to have and understand the differences, right? One is your website, which is going to have all your information, which is not required right now if you're going to run, primarily ads. But yeah, a good landing page, and you must get a good developer or designer that understands that the key is simplicity, and that you have all your call to actions really clear, and that the customer is not distracted with other stuff, because you don't add navigation menus, you don't add, nothing fancy. You just want this person is searching for your service already. Give him direct contact to you. So I think that's my biggest take on this phase two. And what do you think are the percentage increase in local services ad, as you mentioned, there was a lot of, you start off really quick, you start bidding, and you get those contacts. What type of, we could say, ROI, or what type of things we should expect for phase two? What is the client getting in return for all this work?
Well, it's really about scaling. Just scaling the volume is the goal here, while maintaining profitability. Maybe not the same margin, but still a good, healthy margin. And the way you do that is by good tracking, good analytics, all through the CRM. You can see your close rates, your lost reasons, which keywords from the campaigns are working and which ones aren't, which can really help your employee or your agency out. But yeah, it's the main goal is volume. But I wanted to add to some of your website things. So some items there that I would add are yes, simplicity is definitely key, but just in general with content writing and website for ads, you want to speak to the pain points of your client. And they're in a rough situation right now. They're probably in a lot of trouble, or a family member. So what I've seen some of our clients do is they speak to the gravity of the situation, the potential penalties that they could get if they don't, if it's not ruled in their favor, that they need a strong lawyer is going to fight for them and reduce their sentences, or get a case dismissal. And for each one of these types of cases, speaking specifically to a little bit on your knowledge, a little bit on the potential sentencings, and talking about about the process too, because there's probably a lot of questions and concern. You want to address the concern of your client and walk them through the process. Try and explain that it starts very easy. It's just a call, and a friendly lawyer is going to consult you at no cost, and we can talk details and figure it out from there. Just really just taking care of all the barriers to entry and frequently asked questions, answering those in advance so that they're feeling good by that time that they're calling you, or if they're comparing you to other lawyers. Kind of a side thought here, not so much with websites, but what I see a lot of clients behaviors doing, especially coming from Google traffic, is they're going down the list and they're trying to get a lawyer as fast as possible. So the number one thing, if you remember anything today, is pick up the phone, have very clear hours and expectations of when the phone will be answered, and make sure you pick up that phone. And if a lawyer can't speak to the client right away, or there's specific information, you say they'll get back to you. Just know that client is going down the next ad or the next listing on Google, and they're going to go with whoever getting back to them first. A lot of times, not always, but you got to, again, it comes back to their situation. They're in a crisis. Well, I mean, sometimes it's not as serious, but sometimes it can be very, very serious, and they need a lawyer as soon as possible. So be ready and be available once you do earn those calls from your amazing website. Just be there, be ready, and convert them to a client.
Yeah, I think that this is really important, that a customer, like anyone to know, is like us as a marketer, we bring you the client to your store, right? And you must open the doors and talk to them and sell them at the end, right? That's why it's not only bringing out the people, have a really good internal sales team, customer care team, so that way when they're in the door, you're able to close on them effectively, right? So and I think after you get on this, I think for phase two, it's really running those ads, but those ads cost a lot of money, and I think this is where phase three comes in, right? When it's expanding on long-term gains to save on ads, right? How you seen the transition on phase three? What is the key changes, right, from phase?
I think there's one other thing in phase two you got to do in order to prepare for the next step, and that is the CRM. So just explaining how all these things so far are tying in together. The Facebook and Google ads are sending traffic to your website. Your website is speaking to their situation. The ads and the landing page are in sync. It's easy for people to contact you. What happens after the contact is these leads need somewhere to live within a database. So have a CRM that can do call tracking, where anyone who calls you gets added as a lead immediately, records the call, lets you review the call, assigns your intake specialist or the lawyers, however you handle your process. And all the form leads or live chat leads, if you do that too, also get sent there. So everyone from every basically marketing source now lives here in the CRM. And what we're going to do in phase three, once you have everything in the CRM, you can do a couple things. You can have different pipeline stages to organize your sales and intake process. So new lead came in on a form. Okay, so now you're in the follow-up phase. You have to call them back, whoever's logging in and seeing them. You get them on the phone, and either, yes, they want to go further and they want an appointment to potentially sign, then they come in, or you do a call or Zoom or whatever. Then they're in that next appointment set stage. Now, for each one of these stages, this helps you prioritize the people in the later stages, because they're closer to the revenue for you and being a client. Whereas, if you're just in a stack of 50 leads and they're a week old, maybe you have a stale lead automation where after X amount of attempts or days, they get, sent to abandoned status, so that it doesn't clog up your intake specialist prioritization and who to follow up on, things like that. I've seen some clients are very old school and they're very good at it. They have Post-it notes all over their desk. And it was literally the stages of the CRM was like the new ones were on the left, and to the right were the closer to organized by date. And I said, hey, why don't we just digitize it for that client? And
A good old Kanban board.
Yeah, it was a Kanban board. It's a CRM pipeline. So yeah, digitizing this, there's just so much you can do. And so phase 3 and how the CRM ties into this. Phase 3 is content marketing. One thing that a lot of CRMs can do is they can do email and SMS marketing. They can do appointment reminders if they're in the appointment set stage. They can do newsletters to the stale leads that maybe they were just afraid or just working on getting money. Who knows why they didn't contact you? You can continue to re-nurture them with content is one thing. But the other main thing in phase 3 that involves a lot of content is search engine optimization, which is the unpaid traffic that you get from ranking higher on Google. Whereas ads get you the immediate results, search engine optimization is a very long-term service. So I'll let you speak to why we put this in phase 3 and a little bit about this service. And if you're that business owner and you're starting to get into content marketing, you've got all your other ads established, the profit margin's getting thinner and thinner and thinner because you're spending more and more, but you still want another way to grow. This is when we approach this and why the reasons we're approaching this.
Yeah, and I think you said at the beginning of the call, regularly when you have on Google, whenever you're searching on Google, you have your local services ad on top, then you have your regular ads, and after that it comes the organic, right? So there are customers that they skip sometimes to the ads, or maybe it's a keywords that it's not, you don't have the local services ads, you just have the local ads. Well, you want to be on top. You just want to be the next one online to get that traffic. So one key thing is that, as you mentioned, this is not paid traffic. So it's organic. That means you get it for free. Google is giving it to you for free if you follow certain criterias, right? And these criterias take quite a time to build up because Google uses different algorithms to understand who's going to be ranking on top, right? Because there's a lot of competitors. There's a lot of people with the same services or same type of niche of pages. So this is a long-term growth strategy. And this is where you actually need a whole team, right? You need your developer that knows the know-how, not only on how to build a website, but having the technical SEO expertise, meaning how your website should be presented to Google. Because on the back end, keep in mind, it's just bots, right? It's just Google bots. They call it their Google Spider. So basically, they crawl your whole website, and based on the structure of your website, it creates, your sitemap. How is your website structured? Based on that sitemap, it refers where to rank it for, what categories, and does this, really complex algorithm to determine who's on top, right? So to keep it more simple, and just, simple terms, we like to focus on certain stuff. First is the effective content creation, right? Is your pages really effective that each one of the pages, like let's say for instance, you have your services page. You don't have all your services in one single page, but you have a specific page for each one of your services. You have your titles, you have your descriptions. Adding frequently asked questions is really good. Describing as much as you can what differs you to, other people or other competitors. So that's where the content creation is really important. And it's important to have it structured in a way that a person can really read it really well, but also where the bots can really understand it and structure it so that way they can rank it. Then after that, it becomes, you have to have backlinks. You have to actually distribute this content on different platforms so that it leaves out there. And then you start doing blogs. With these blogs, you have keywords you want to target. So that way the client is searching, what to do if, I was drunk driving, right? That's the first thing that they're going to search. What regular is, how do I do this, what to do in this situation, where can I find help for YC. So there's a lot of keywords depending on the niche and the client. That's where we do our keyword research to determine which are the keywords that are bringing more traffic, create articles about that specific topic, and based on that actually start getting backlinks to that page and try to rank it up. Now, the benefit as a business is, for instance, one day you don't have enough money to invest on ads, you always keep on getting that organic traffic, and those can really convert, right? And the second thing is that when you have these pages, is that you save on there's and correct me if I'm wrong, but on Google Ads, when you're bidding for different keywords, right? Different keywords have different costs. So if you have a really good keyword you're ranking for, you're saving that cost immediately, right? And your conversions, your cost per conversions go down. So I think that's one of the really important things about SEO. But the thing is, it's a long process. It's something you really invest long term, and I really recommend businesses to start even with your services pages from the beginning, because that gives Google to really index your business and understand where is it from, what places you service, so that way when there's somebody's locally searching, you start appearing on that. But yeah, no, if you have a little extra money from the ads that you're getting, start investing in creating a really well structured website, really fast website that is loading in 1-2 seconds. Invest on a good server, on a good developer, because this is going to help you long term. So it just gives you that healthy business, right? That you don't, because the cost of ads always go up. They will never go down. So there's a term where, if, let's say for instance, it costs 200 for a keyword, and then somebody bids a little bit higher, 250. Now that's the term, and then it goes to 50 and up, right? So yeah, we should always invest long term on SEO, right?
Yeah, the way I would put it is, if you have the money and you don't have immediate urgent need of generating cases, then start with SEO. If you need cases immediately and you have the money to invest in SEO, do both, and then you'll benefit from SEO sooner. If you have limited money and you just need cases immediately to build your capital, then just do ads, which is the order of the phases that we've done so far. But I want to speak to benefits and why we've are suggesting SEO, and a bit about the synergies with the other services. There's a lot of synergy. But so one of the nice things about starting ads first, even though it takes longer for SEO to kick in, is you get all the converting data of the good keywords. So you'll see, defense lawyer near me or defense lawyer town maybe is generating 30% of the business of this ad group, or of all the keywords. So tell your team, say, hey, let's focus on this keyword primarily. This is our main keyword. Like you said, there's other keywords too that are more very high funnel, I would call them, not ready to hire a lawyer yet, but they're in the research phase. Those frequently asked questions like, how much time am I going to serve for X? Or, this is not like, what am I trying to say? Serve case type lawyer as a keyword. It's not so direct, whereas that is someone who's ready to start working with someone. So sometimes you can convert people before all your other competitors are with those type of broader, more research type keywords. Another way this synergizes too is pop-ups that you've implemented for our clients, Gio, are great. On the blogs, where these traffics comes in from keywords that we're trying to rank for, like researching phase, and it'll say, need more advice for this, or whatever the offer that we're giving out at that time. They can actually convert from that traffic and become a potential lead, and the email marketing or your newsletter can eventually convert them later on. And I'll talk more about how those can convert. Another thing you said is really the key of why we do this. We're building the capital with ads, and there's a point where you can only go so far, and your profit margins are getting smaller and smaller the more you spend. SEO, as you said, it's completely free. Like, if you stop doing SEO once you've got your ranks and your traffic level to where you want it to be, you don't have to continue paying for it anymore. So where ads, you could be paying 5 to 20% of your profit or revenue per case. SEO, each case that you generate from it is completely free. It's that much more added to your margin. But the reason we don't do it right away, if it's the most profitable, it's because the results take long. Most people are in the situation where they need the capital from the ads to hold them over and view SEO as a long-term investment. That's where I feel most comfortable with clients in most situations is once we have that capital from ads and then we're investing in something more long-term. Yeah. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think this is really a good strategy, building your business step by step, right? It's like a toddler, right? You first start crawling, then you start, taking those baby steps, then you go running, and at the end, you have your business up and running and diversified, right? I think that's something really important that you learn, like in any business or whenever you're investing on something, diversify your strategy so that you don't depend on one single thing, because if something changes on the market, you're not reliant on that thing to be always the same. Because as we progress in society and on the digital world, things are changing. Like, we have AI now. AI is bringing a lot of good things to the table. So, and I think it brings us to the last topic of, actually trusting your agency, right? This is where I think a lot of the times it comes that as an agency, you must have a strategy. You can't just, come with a client and give them, hey, I'm just going to give you ads and, we're just going to stick with this. No, we need a strategy to scale, because if our clients are really making money and making revenue of all of these ads and all these strategies, that also brings in more business for us. So at the end, it's not it's a mutual growth. It's a mutual growth between the client and the agency. And I think that's like a long-term partnership, here to say. It's not just giving out a service. Or what do you think about working with agencies on this part?
Agencies, employees, or whoever you're working with, I think the perfect match is a law firm that one goes into it with long-term goals in mind and has their goals clearly ready. What do I want in month 1, month 3, year 5 years from now, and effectively communicates not only that, but just in general with whoever's helping them. And then on the other end, whoever's helping them, agency, employee, also has a plan for them to help scale, or at least has the honesty and transparency and tells them, hey, I'm only a specialist in this, but find someone else for these other services I can't do. That's really great. I mean, just being honest about what you're capable of and not. But yeah, you really do want the future in mind, because it affects everything you do in the short term and long term. Yeah. But some of the, I wanted to just go back to some of the synergies between phase 3 and the earlier phases. One of the great things, if you're really just into ads and you're not a fan of SEO, which is most people I talk to, they think, because the reason being is a lot of agencies or employees, it's so complex, it's always changing, are messing it up. And it's very easy to mess up. It's very easy to lose faith in it. And I was there for many years until I met you, Gio, and you've helped our clients so much with SEO. So it's easy to lose faith, but doing it, part of what you're doing is you're improving the copywriting of every single page. For example, the theft lawyer page where you're getting cases for people who are in that situation. You're putting in keywords like lawyer town or burglary lawyer. You're sticking in these keywords, and the content is really focused on. It's really hyper focused now that you're doing SEO, because it has to be. But that's also benefiting Google Ads, because Google Ads have a similar algorithm, not exactly the same, but if the keyword you're searching for or that you're bidding on, burglary lawyer near me, for example, and you're sending them to that page, if someone has done SEO to it, you're going to get a higher score on Google Ads. You're going to rank higher, and your cost per click is going to be less because someone is focused on that content. The other things that you're going to do is you're going to convert higher, but you're also going to get an even higher score on Google Ads, because part of SEO is making your website faster. all the ads, all the traffic sources now are going to convert better because your page is loading. People are very, very impatient on the internet, and they're going to bounce off and leave immediately. Part of SEO that's so great that benefits everything is mobile traffic is very optimized. Speed, layout, all these different things on mobile are completely optimized now. And some ad platforms, that is probably the vast majority of where your traffic's coming from. I think people, even designers, developers, marketers, they always overlook it because they're always doing their work on the desktop, but they should really always be viewing things from a mobile perspective because that's where the majority of traffic's coming from. So there's so many synergies with the previous services that not only are you improving your SEO, you're improving everything else that's already been done passively by just focusing on SEO, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it benefits, like you mentioned, in all criterias, especially whenever you have a person that really understand the technical know-how, the structure of a website.